I'm not here today as some celebrity doctor chasing fame or selling quick fix solutions. I've already retired from my decades-long medical practice. I've spent over 35 years treating men just like you who sat across from me, confused, frustrated, ashamed, and desperate. Many of them once believed they were simply getting old. They thought their slow decline was inevitable. They have been told by friends, by media, by even some doctors that this was just part of being a man over 60. But I've seen too much to accept that narrative. And today, I want to finally share what I've learned. Not from books or theories, but from watching thousands of men slowly wither while unknowingly following harmful advice they trusted for years. You see, what if I told you that every morning right now you might be poisoning your manhood? And not with alcohol or smoking or anything so obvious. No. This danger is far more silent. Far more insidious. It's happening right there on your breakfast plate. In fact, it's likely something you've been told your whole life is healthy. You've probably even taught your own children to eat it, believing you were setting a good example. But for men like us, past the age of 60, what once seemed harmless becomes something much darker. I've seen strong men lose their edge. Husbands lose intimacy with their wives. Men who once woke up vibrant, filled with energy, confidence, and desire reduced to shadows of who they used to be, not because they stopped caring. Not because their marriages failed, but because their bodies silently betrayed them while they followed the very health routines they thought were protecting them. No one told them that after 60, your body doesn't respond the same way. The foods you once tolerated now strike you differently. Your metabolism changes, your liver becomes more fragile. Your hormones more delicate. The silent enemy is sugar. But not just any sugar, the sugar hidden inside the very fruits you probably eat every morning, thinking you're doing your body a favor. I know this is hard to hear. I myself believed for decades that starting my day with fruit was smart, that it was natural fuel. I followed the same routine: bananas, orange juice, maybe a handful of grapes. But little by little, my patients, my friends, even my own body began showing the same disturbing patterns. Lower testosterone, weaker erections, loss of morning arousals, the fire slowly dimming, confidence slipping away. And worst of all, most men never connected the dots. They blamed their age, they blamed themselves. But I couldn't ignore the truth once I saw it, and now, neither can you. Imagine for a moment, what if the very thing you believe is nourishing you is quietly dismantling your manhood? What if that glass of orange juice isn't refreshing your system, but shocking it? What if that bowl of grapes isn't providing vitamins, but instead destabilizing your blood sugar before your day even begins? And what if that ripe banana you slice into your oatmeal is flooding your system with fast sugars, triggering hormonal chaos before your feet even leave the kitchen? I watched this silent crisis unfold in hundreds, thousands of men who sat before me. Good men, healthy men, or at least they thought they were. But their bodies were being rewired by the silent chemistry of morning sugars, their testosterone suppressed, their nitric oxide strangled, their blood vessels inflamed and constricted. Until one morning they wake up and realize they're no longer who they used to be. Their drive is gone, their confidence shattered, their relationships strained. And worst of all, no one warned them. But that's why I'm here now. I may have retired from clinical practice, but I haven't retired from my purpose. My mission now is to speak the uncomfortable truth that few are willing to say. Not to scare you, but to wake you up to protect what you still have and perhaps restore what you've lost. Because you are not broken. You are not doomed to decline simply because you crossed a certain birthday. You have been misled. And today, I'm going to expose the 7 fruits, yes, 7 commonly sitting on American breakfast tables, that are secretly sabotaging your sexual health, your testosterone, and your manhood. These are fruits that were perfectly fine for your body at 30, but they wage war against you at 60 and beyond, and most doctors never mention them. But once you understand how they work against you, you'll never look at your breakfast the same way again. In the next few minutes, you'll learn exactly what these fruits are, why they're harming you, and most importantly, what to do instead to restore your strength, your confidence, and your bedroom performance naturally, without pills, without surgeries, and without shame. If you're ready to face what no one else has told you before, I encourage you to stay with me until the very end of this video. The knowledge you gain today could very well save your manhood. Before we dive in, if you find this kind of truth valuable and you want me to continue creating more videos that empower men like us, Please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Your support allows me to keep sharing the hard lessons I've learned over a lifetime of helping men just like you. Now, before we continue, I want to ask you a simple but important question. Do you believe that age alone causes sexual decline? A. Yes, it's just normal aging. B. No. Lifestyle choices make a major difference. Please comment A or B below. I read every single response, and your answer helps me tailor future videos to better serve you. As a doctor who has spent decades studying male health, I have seen one tragic pattern repeat itself time and time again. It's not heart disease, it's not prostate cancer. It's something much quieter, much more deceptive, the slow erosion of a man's masculinity, his energy, his confidence, his ability to perform silently chipped away day after day by small decisions he never questioned. And one of the most overlooked yet destructive contributors sits right at the breakfast table, the very fruits we believed were helping us. Let me walk you through each one, not with theory, but with the hard truths I've uncovered after years of watching good men unknowingly sabotage themselves. Because each of these fruits, though innocent on the surface, carries a hidden cost that becomes devastating after 60. First, let's talk about bananas. If you had asked me 30 years ago, I would have told you bananas were the perfect breakfast food packed with potassium, easy to digest, convenient. But what I didn't fully grasp back then was how dramatically their sugar content changes as they ripen. That sweet, soft, spotted banana you slice onto your cereal is far from harmless. As bananas age, their complex starches convert into simple sugars. When consumed first thing in the morning, especially on an empty stomach, they flood your bloodstream with fast-digesting glucose. This triggers a sharp surge in insulin, the hormonal traffic cop that tries to pull sugar out of your blood and store it. But here's the problem. High insulin not only manages blood sugar, it actively suppresses testosterone, disrupts nitric oxide production, and creates low-grade inflammation throughout your blood vessels. For a man over 60, whose hormonal balance is already more fragile, this morning sugar shock starts a chain reaction that weakens the very systems responsible for strong, reliable erections. Then there are grapes. Those small, juicy bursts of sweetness feel so harmless. How could a few grapes cause any harm? But therein lies the deception. Grapes may be small, but they are densely packed with sugar relative to their size. They digest rapidly, pouring glucose into your system almost instantly. Once again, insulin rushes in to correct the spike, but at the cost of testosterone suppression and restricted blood flow. Over time, these repeated surges begin to tighten the tiny arteries that feed blood into the penis, making erections weaker, less frequent, and ultimately more difficult to achieve. And because grapes digest so quickly, they leave you hungry again within the hour, tempting you to reach for more quick sugars, trapping you in a vicious hormonal roller coaster. Perhaps the most widespread offender in American breakfasts is orange juice. It's been marketed for decades as the epitome of a healthy start vitamin C, right? That tall glass feels so refreshing, so energizing. But in reality, orange juice is nothing more than liquid sugar. Unlike eating a whole orange, where fiber slows digestion, orange juice bypasses your gut's natural brakes entirely. Within minutes, your blood sugar surges dramatically, rivaling the spike you get from drinking soda. Once again, insulin rises sharply. And with every insulin spike, testosterone drops, blood vessels constrict, nitric oxide levels fall, and your sexual vitality suffers. While you may feel briefly alert, that false energy quickly fades, leaving you fatigued, irritable, and hormonally depleted by late morning. Now let's move to a fruit that's often hailed as nature's sexual booster, watermelon. Many men have heard that watermelon contains citrulline, a compound that supports nitric oxide production and can improve blood flow. And while that's partially true, what most don't realize is that the timing and quantity of watermelon consumption are critical. When consumed first thing in the morning or in large amounts, watermelon's high sugar content overwhelms the potential benefits of citrulline. Because over 90% of watermelon is water and sugar, it digests incredibly fast, causing that same rapid spike in blood glucose and insulin that sets off the familiar hormonal domino effect. The result? Rather than enhancing blood flow, it disrupts the vascular balance your erections depend on, leaving you more fatigued, more hormonally unstable, and paradoxically more dependent on sugar to keep your energy up throughout the day. Next, let's address mangoes. Mangoes have a special place in many hearts, sweet, tropical, and bursting with flavor. But hidden beneath their exotic sweetness is a potent dose of fructose, the type of sugar that heads straight for your liver. For younger, highly active men, the liver can process occasional fructose without major issue. But for men over 60, whose liver function may already be compromised by decades of accumulated strain, this becomes dangerous. Excess fructose encourages fatty liver development, which in turn disrupts hormonal balance, particularly testosterone. As testosterone levels fall, erectile function suffers directly. Compounding this, mango's high sugar load delivers yet another insulin spike, further suppressing testosterone and destabilizing nitric oxide, the lifeblood of your erections. And because mangoes digest so quickly, you're left hungry and vulnerable to repeated sugar cravings, feeding the downward cycle. Pineapple is another fruit that catches many men off guard. It feels vibrant, tropical, even medicinal with its bromelain enzymes. But when examined closely, pineapple delivers an intense sugar load with very little fiber to buffer its absorption. Just 1 cup of pineapple can unleash over 16 grams of fast-acting sugar into your bloodstream, triggering the same hormonal turbulence we've discussed. For men over 60, whose vascular and hormonal systems are more sensitive, these repeated spikes foster chronic inflammation, hormone suppression, and subtle but relentless damage to the vascular structures responsible for strong, lasting erections. Pineapple may not feel dangerous, but in the context of aging male physiology, it becomes a silent disruptor. And finally, we arrive at one of the most deceptive categories of all: dried fruits. Raisins, dates, apricots, they appear so harmless, marketed as natural, fiber-rich, nutrient-dense snacks. But when fruit is dried, the water is removed, and what remains is a concentrated sugar bomb. Eating dried fruit, especially on an empty stomach, delivers sugar to your system almost like eating candy. Without the water and fiber that whole fruits provide, dried fruits spike your blood sugar rapidly, setting off the same cascade of insulin surges, testosterone suppression, vascular constriction, and nitric oxide depletion. Worse, because dried fruits are small and easy to overeat, many men consume far more sugar than they realize. Over time, these seemingly healthy snacks contribute directly to the slow, silent breakdown of male sexual function that so many accept as unavoidable aging. Throughout my career, I have watched this silent erosion unfold. I've seen men suffer in silence, unaware that their morning routines were quietly dismantling the very systems they once relied on for vitality, energy, and intimacy. But knowledge is power. Once you understand the hidden hormonal consequences of these fruits, you regain control. You no longer have to accept fatigue, low libido, or weak erections as your destiny. In the coming segment, I'll explain why men over 60 are uniquely vulnerable to these hormonal disruptions, and more importantly, what you can begin doing today to reverse this decline and reclaim your strength naturally. Stay with me. Over the years, one question has haunted me, both as a doctor and as a man. Why does this decline accelerate so brutally after 60? Why do men who were once strong, vibrant, and full of life seem to lose their edge so quickly once they cross this invisible threshold? I spent decades searching for answers, not easy ones, not convenient ones, but the real biological reasons behind this painful shift. Now, in my retirement, with the clarity that comes from years of observing thousands of men walk into my office with the same quiet desperation, I can finally say this with confidence. The male body after 60 is not simply older. It is fundamentally different. And unless we understand these differences, we are left defenseless against forces that were once harmless but have now become dangerous. The first and most powerful change is metabolic. As men age, the body's sensitivity to insulin gradually weakens. In your younger years, your pancreas could respond to sugar intake efficiently, producing just enough insulin to balance blood sugar and keep hormones stable. But after 60, that balance erodes. Insulin resistance begins to set in. The same sugars you once handled with ease now trigger disproportionate insulin surges. And every one of those surges does more than just regulate blood sugar. It sends signals to suppress testosterone, inflame the vascular system, and disrupt nitric oxide production. This is why the fruits we discussed earlier become so destructive at this stage of life. They were never dangerous when you were 30 or 40 because your insulin system was robust. But now, each morning dose of sugar you consume is like lighting a hormonal fire that your body struggles to extinguish. You don't feel the damage immediately. There's no sudden collapse, but over months and years, it chips away relentlessly at your manhood. The second shift lies in the liver. The aging liver becomes more fragile, less efficient at processing the constant influx of sugars, especially fructose, which is abundant in so many fruits. In youth, your liver could easily convert occasional fructose into harmless energy. But after decades of accumulated exposure combined with natural age-related slowing, the liver begins storing more fat. This condition, known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, is devastating for testosterone production. The liver plays a central role in regulating sex hormones. When it's compromised, testosterone falls, estrogen balance shifts, and the very foundation of male vitality crumbles quietly inside you. Then comes the deterioration of vascular flexibility. Your blood vessels, once elastic, able to expand and contract easily to accommodate blood flow, gradually stiffen with age. This hardening, a process known as endothelial dysfunction, strikes directly at the core of sexual performance. Erections depend entirely on the smooth, rapid expansion of penile blood vessels to fill and maintain rigidity. When those vessels lose their flexibility, blood struggles to flow freely. Nitric oxide, the key molecule responsible for relaxing blood vessels, becomes less effective. Even when the desire remains, the physical mechanism begins to fail. And all of these changes, metabolic, hepatic, vascular, interact with one another in a cruel, self-reinforcing loop. As insulin surges suppress testosterone, testosterone's absence further reduces insulin sensitivity. As liver fat accumulates, testosterone production sinks further. As nitric oxide declines, blood vessels stiffen, restricting blood flow even more. Each system weakens the next, creating a downward spiral that feels, to most men, like an unavoidable march toward decline. But it doesn't stop there. After 60, sleep quality often deteriorates. Deep, restorative sleep becomes harder to achieve. This matters far more than most men realize because testosterone production peaks during sleep, particularly in the deep stages of rest. Poor sleep lowers testosterone. Low testosterone worsens sleep. Another vicious cycle forms, robbing men of both energy during the day and healing during the night. Stress levels also play a much larger role in later years. The responsibilities of family, finances, retirement fears, and health anxieties accumulate. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol, a hormone that directly opposes testosterone. Elevated cortisol drains testosterone, disrupts blood sugar control, and accelerates the same inflammatory processes that sabotage vascular health. Emotional stress becomes biological damage. Even the gut changes. As men age, their digestive efficiency declines. Gut bacteria shift. Inflammation rises. Nutrient absorption weakens. The gut's critical role in regulating hormones, detoxifying waste, and supporting immune function falters quietly. This allows systemic inflammation to gain a stronger foothold, further fueling the hormonal storm we've discussed. And perhaps most insidiously of all, society itself contributes to this vulnerability. Modern nutritional advice has failed older men. For decades, we were told that fruit is always healthy, that fat is the enemy, that a glass of orange juice is a smart way to start the day. No one stopped to consider how these recommendations affect the unique physiology of the aging male. As a result, well-meaning men follow routines that were never designed for their stage of life, and they pay the price for it slowly, silently, and often without ever understanding why. This is why I've always told my patients, you are not failing because you've aged. You are failing because you are still using a nutritional blueprint meant for a younger body that no longer exists. The rules have changed. What once fueled you now destabilizes you. What once sustained you now drains you. And unless you adjust, the decline accelerates. I've seen men in their late 60s turn their lives around simply by recognizing these hidden shifts. Once they stabilize blood sugar, support liver function, restore vascular flexibility, and protect hormonal balance, the results are often astonishing. Morning energy returns. Erections strengthen, mental clarity sharpens. The vibrant man they thought was lost forever reappears, often within weeks or months. But it begins with understanding. And that's why I'm speaking to you now, not as a scolding authority, but as a fellow traveler who has walked beside thousands of men on this difficult path. My mission is to help you see what others have ignored so you can reclaim what still belongs to you. In the next section, I will show you exactly how to build a morning strategy that works with your aging body. not against it, one that stabilizes blood sugar, supports testosterone, and gives you back the power you may have quietly lost. Stay with me because this is where the healing truly begins. After years of treating men and witnessing the quiet devastation caused by years of well-meaning but misguided habits, I came to a simple but profound truth. While we cannot turn back time, we can absolutely change the direction we're headed. And that shift, gentlemen, begins every morning at your breakfast table. When I was still practicing, I used to tell my patients something that often startled them. Your first meal of the day is not just food, it's a message. It tells your hormones either to support you or to sabotage you. Sadly, most men wake up and unknowingly send the wrong message every single day. But once you understand how your body functions after 60, you can write a completely different script, one that rebuilds rather than depletes. The key to reclaiming your strength, energy, and sexual vitality lies in one word: stability. What we are fighting against is not simply age, it's the wild hormonal swings that come from unstable blood sugar, inflammatory triggers, and unpredictable insulin responses. The morning is your greatest opportunity to set the tone for the entire day. Start unstable and your body spends the next 12 hours in crisis mode. Start stable and you give your testosterone, your blood vessels, and your nervous system the calm foundation they need to thrive. For men over 60, this means abandoning the sugary breakfasts we were raised on: no more juices, sweet fruits, cereals, or pastries. Instead, we build your first meal around protein, healthy fats, and nutrient-dense foods that slow digestion, minimize insulin spikes, and nourish your endocrine system. This isn't a fad diet, this is biology pure and simple. Protein is the single most important foundation for your new morning. It feeds your muscles, supports testosterone production, helps regulate blood sugar, and keeps you satiated for hours. When my patients make this shift, they often describe feeling grounded, a steadiness they haven't felt in years. A few excellent options include eggs, which are not the villain they were once made out to be. They are, in fact, nature's perfect package of protein, healthy cholesterol, vitamins, and essential fats that your testosterone-producing cells crave. Greek yogurt, unsweetened and full-fat, is another excellent choice. It delivers high-quality protein, probiotics to support gut health, and fats that help stabilize hormones. For men who enjoy variety, cottage cheese or even small portions of smoked salmon can provide additional options that keep breakfast interesting while still supportive of hormonal balance. Next, we introduce healthy fats, the unsung heroes of male endocrine health. After 60, your body desperately needs these fats to build the raw materials for testosterone and to protect your vascular system. Avocados are one of my personal favorites, rich in monounsaturated fats, fiber, potassium, and anti-inflammatory compounds. A few slices alongside your eggs or yogurt can make a profound difference over time. Nuts and seeds, such as almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, or flax seeds, are also powerful allies. Their combination of healthy fats, protein, fiber, and micronutrients help control hunger, support metabolic health, and provide steady energy throughout the day. Just a small handful can deliver benefits without overwhelming your calorie intake. Now let's address the question many of my patients always ask: "Doctor, does this mean I can never eat fruit again?" The answer is no, you can still enjoy certain fruits. But we must choose wisely and respect timing. After 60, your body is no longer as forgiving with high-sugar fruits first thing in the morning. Instead, we turn to low-glycemic, fiber-rich fruits in small portions that provide antioxidants and nutrients without destabilizing blood sugar. Berries are your best option here: blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries. Their high fiber content slows sugar absorption, and their antioxidant properties support vascular health, brain function, and even testosterone stability. A small serving combined with your protein and fat sources allows you to enjoy the pleasure of fruit without the hormonal damage. Most critically, we eliminate liquid sugar from your mornings entirely. No juices, no sugary coffees, no flavored creamers or syrups. You begin your day with pure water hydrating your cells, flushing your system, and giving your body the clean start it desperately needs. If you enjoy coffee or tea, keep them simple and unsweetened to avoid the hidden blood sugar roller coaster that so many fall into unknowingly. This new breakfast strategy does more than protect your testosterone. It sends a clear message to your entire system: you are safe, you are stable, and you are supported. Insulin remains calm, Inflammation stays low. Blood vessels remain relaxed and ready. Nitric oxide flows freely. And with consistency, your morning erections begin to return. Your confidence begins to rebuild. Your energy remains steady throughout the day, no longer rising and crashing like waves. Beyond the immediate physical benefits, something remarkable begins to happen emotionally as well. Many men report feeling more in control of their bodies for the first time in years. The fog lifts, the self-doubt fades, and they realize that while they may have crossed into a new chapter of life, they are far from powerless. This is not about perfection. You don't need to live like a monk or fear every meal. But by simply mastering your mornings, you take command of the most influential hormonal window of your entire day. And as that foundation strengthens, it becomes easier to make better choices at lunch, at dinner, and in every aspect of your health. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s experience profound transformations simply by adopting this new morning strategy. They regain not only their sexual vitality but their zest for life, their mental sharpness, and their joy in daily living. These are not theoretical results, they are real, tangible victories I have witnessed repeatedly across my long career. You deserve that same victory. You deserve to feel strong, capable, and vibrant again. And it all begins tomorrow morning with a different choice on your plate. In the next section, I will help you fully understand why this is not your fault, why you are not broken, and why you still hold more power than you realize. Because once you see the truth clearly, the path forward becomes unmistakable. Stay with me. As I sit here today, long retired from my clinical practice, I often reflect on the faces of the men who once sat across from my desk. They came from every background, every walk of life, businessmen, teachers, fathers, grandfathers, each carrying the same unspoken fear. They were afraid that something inside them was broken permanently. Their eyes would drop, their voices would lower as they tried to describe what they were losing. Not just erections, but a sense of self, of manhood, of confidence that once felt unshakable. And yet, what always struck me most was that they weren't broken at all. They were simply lost in a system that had failed to educate them properly. They were drowning in misinformation, well-intentioned advice that never accounted for the realities of the aging male body. They had done everything they were told. They exercised. They avoided fats because they were told fat was dangerous. They started their mornings with fruit and juice because they believed it was healthy. They followed the rules. And still, little by little, their vitality slipped away. It wasn't their fault. For years, mainstream nutrition promoted a one-size-fits-all approach, as if the needs of a 25-year-old man were identical to those of a 65-year-old. But they are not. The male body after 60 operates under entirely different biological rules. Your metabolism changes, your liver changes, your blood vessels change, your hormones become more fragile. What once served you well in youth can become harmful as you age, not because your body is defective, but because it has entered a different phase, one that requires a new strategy, a more precise approach. You see, most of my patients came to me believing they were powerless against aging. They had resigned themselves to the idea that low energy, poor erections, and fading desire were simply the price of growing older. And that belief, more than any biological factor, was what truly weakened them. Because once a man believes he is broken, he stops fighting for himself. He surrenders to decline. And that, gentlemen, is the greatest tragedy I have witnessed in my career. The truth is far more hopeful. What I've discovered, and what I've helped hundreds of men rediscover, is that much of what feels like aging is, in fact, reversible dysfunction. It's not an irreversible sentence. It's the result of decades of small imbalances accumulating until the body can no longer compensate. But when we correct those imbalances, when we remove the triggers, stabilize the hormones, nourish the systems, the body often responds with a surprising capacity for renewal. I've seen men who hadn't experienced strong morning erections for years suddenly wake up feeling like themselves again within weeks of adjusting their morning routines. I've seen energy return, mental clarity sharpen, and relationships reignite. Not through medications or miracle supplements, but by finally giving the body what it was asking for all along: stability, balance, and respect for its current stage of life. This is the part that most men never hear. You have far more power than you realize. You are not a passive victim of time. Your body is still capable of remarkable recovery if you work with it rather than against it. And that process starts not with complex treatments, but with knowledge, the kind of knowledge that no one gave you when you needed it most. For too long, you've been sold myths. That testosterone naturally crashes with age, and there's nothing you can do. That sugar is harmless if it comes from fruit. That your breakfast should look the same at 65 as it did at 25. These half-truths have quietly sabotaged your health for decades. But today, you know better. Today, you've seen what really happens inside your body when you feed it the wrong fuel. You've learned how insulin, blood sugar, inflammation, liver strain, vascular stiffness, and hormonal shifts all interlock like gears in a machine. And how a simple shift in your morning choices can change the entire operation of that machine. That knowledge puts you in control. No, you may not rewind the clock and become 30 again. But you can absolutely become the strongest version of the man you are today. You can reclaim energy, restore sexual function, sharpen your mind, and walk with confidence once more. I've watched men in their 60s and 70s experience transformations that they once believed were impossible, not because they reversed aging, but because they finally stopped fighting their bodies with outdated advice and started giving their bodies exactly what they needed. And I promise you, your body has been waiting for you to make that shift. It starts with the simple decision you make tomorrow morning. What you put on your plate, what you pour into your glass, sends a signal that echoes through your entire system for the rest of the day. The old way, the sugary fruits, the juices, the quick fixes, brought instability. The new way, protein, healthy fats, controlled low glycemic fruits, and hydration, brings balance. Give your body that stability, and watch how it responds. Watch how your mornings change, how your afternoons hold steady, how your evenings regain energy, and how your bedroom begins to feel familiar once again. This is not magic. This is not luck. This is biology finally working in your favor because you've finally given it what it needed. I am not here to sell you fear. I am here to offer you truth. Hard-earned truth from a lifetime spent sitting across from men who believed they were broken until they learned otherwise. You're not broken. You were misinformed. But now you are informed. And with that knowledge comes the most valuable gift any man can have: choice. The choice to reclaim your vitality. The choice to take back your mornings. The choice to finally feel like yourself again, not by fighting your age, but by mastering it. Tomorrow, your recovery begins. As we come to the end of this important conversation, I want you to take a deep breath and let everything we've discussed truly settle in. Because what we've explored together is not just about fruit. It's not even just about testosterone or sexual function. It's about something far bigger, something every man over 60 deserves to fully understand. For decades, you've been told that your body's decline is inevitable. That losing your strength, your drive, your intimacy, and your energy is simply part of growing older. That your fading erections, your increasing fatigue, your mental fog, these are all just nature's way of slowing you down. But I'm here today, after more than 35 years of sitting across from men just like you, to tell you that narrative is incomplete and often dangerously misleading. Much of what you've been experiencing is not pure aging. It's the consequence of feeding your body the wrong fuel for the stage of life you're in. The foods that once served you well in your youth now demand a different response from your body after 60. Your metabolism, your hormones, your blood vessels, your liver, all have shifted. And when you continue to follow outdated nutritional advice without honoring those changes, you unknowingly set yourself up for hormonal instability, vascular strain, and a gradual loss of your masculine identity. But knowledge is power. And now you possess that power. You've learned that 7 common fruits, bananas, grapes, orange juice, watermelon, mangoes, pineapple, and dried fruits, may quietly sabotage your testosterone, your blood flow, and your ability to feel like yourself. Not because fruit is inherently evil, but because your body no longer processes sugar the way it once did. The sugar surges from these morning foods trigger insulin spikes, suppress testosterone, restrict nitric oxide, and tighten the very blood vessels you need for healthy erections and full body vitality. The beautiful truth, however, is that you are not broken. Your body is not beyond repair. You have not lost your power, you have simply been misinformed. And now that you understand the real mechanics of how your body works at this stage, you have the chance to reclaim what you thought was lost. It starts every morning. Each breakfast you build becomes your first act of control over your hormones for the entire day. By replacing sugary breakfasts with protein-rich meals, healthy fats, and low-glycemic fruits, you stabilize your insulin response, protect your testosterone, and give your vascular system the peace it needs to perform. You're no longer shocking your system with fast sugars. You're feeding it steady, reliable nourishment. The result? Your energy stabilizes. Your mental clarity sharpens. Your sexual confidence returns. Slowly, but surely, the man you remember, the man you feared was gone, reappears. This journey isn't about chasing youth. It's about mastering your age with wisdom and discipline. It's about honoring the man you are today and giving your body the respect it has earned after decades of service. And in doing so, you not only reclaim your physical health, but your emotional strength, your relationships, and your quality of life. As an old doctor who is now retired from practice but not from purpose, I share this knowledge with you not as theory, but as truth I've seen unfold in the lives of countless men, and I know if you apply it, it can unfold for you too. Now, before we close, I'd like to hear from you directly. Let me ask you one simple question. Do you believe that you still have control over your health, no matter your age? A. Yes, I still have the power to change. B. No, it's too late for me. Please take a moment to comment your answer below. Your voice matters, and your comment may inspire another man who is silently struggling and needs to see that change is possible. And if you found value in this message, I kindly ask for your support. Please subscribe to this channel so I can continue creating more helpful videos for men like you. And if you feel moved to do so, your donations, no matter how small, are deeply appreciated. As I grow older myself, this work allows me to give back, to share what I've learned, and to help men reclaim their strength. Your support gives me the energy to keep going and to bring you more valuable knowledge in the future. Thank you for spending this time with me. And remember, your best days are not behind you. They're waiting for you, one morning at a time.